Welcome, everyone. This is Up Your Rank FPL. We are your hosts. I'm AC. That's Bry bringing you another, this time around, double Game Week 20 review and then Game Week 21 preview. As always, guys, if you guys are new around here and you like the content we've been dropping, please make sure that you smash that like button. Follow us on Twitter at Up Your Rank FPL and subscribe to our channel. Bry, my guy, Wagwan.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm here. I'm here. The game week is still going. We are recording this after the Manchester United and Crystal Palace game, so we still got another big game between City and Spurs to happen before the game week closes out. But so far, it's been exciting. I think we've had a game week with a lot of twists and turns. Glad that the Blues got out with a little scary narrow victory there over Crystal Palace, 1-0. Man, I'm feeling a little bit sorry for Liverpool at the moment. We seem to be going back and forth with who looks worse week to week. But I still think we take the cake. But overall, the game, I'm happy with how things are going. How about you, man? How you feeling about the game week? How you feeling about the games that have gone on so far? Talk to me.
Not gonna lie, I have enjoyed this particular game week. Some exciting results. I thoroughly enjoyed the Man United game against Crystal Palace today. I thought it was a great watch. One for the fans. Unfortunate for United to drop points in that particular game, but what a free kick to equalize. Arsenal right now are completely on a tear with what it seems to be them running away with the league after City dropping points, which was also exciting on the Saturday. Liverpool completely looking like they're in shambles, losing 3-0 to Brighton. Things are kind of out of control, but in an exciting way, where the top six is so mixed up compared to previous years that we have different teams that are competing for European spots. Fulham, you can even argue, I know they have a couple games on some teams, but you can argue that Fulham is arguing for European contention right now, which is absolutely amazing. I think it's something that's great for football. I was one of those managers, FPL managers, who thought that Fulham was going to be one of those teams battling relegation. 100%. I don't know if you recall, I was talking Bournemouth are going back down. I think I even tweeted that Fulham is going back down. Somebody responded to me saying that I was a hater, basically, not in those exact words, but wow, love it. Super exciting. And you know what's even better? Knowing that there's so much football left to play.
There's so much football left to play, man. I mean, to your point, some of the games that happened this particular game week, the results were just kind of crazy, man. Outside of the games that you mentioned, what is going on with Wolves? Wolves winning another game, another clean sheet. For Nottingham Forest, if you look at like a play from an FPL standpoint, I know we'll get to him, but like there's a player in Nottingham Forest's defense that I do want to highlight a little bit later on in the show.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Brentford continuing to plug away, Newcastle looking like the best defense in the league. It's been a crazy season so far. So I'm definitely excited about that. But I mean, from an FPL standpoint, let's jump into it. I know the last time I glanced at your team, you were having a very big week. Talk to me about how your team has been performing so well. Walk us through everything that's going on.
All right, man. So starting from the back, I have to say that I was very nervous about playing Kepa in net because Ward facing who did they face this past game
Forest.
week? They're facing Forest, and I said to myself, "Oof, I have to play Ward." Remember, that's why he was in the team in the first place. But after what I felt as though Leicester weren't keeping any clean sheets in the last couple of games, I didn't feel confident playing Leicester, so I played Kepa instead. I was still nervous because It's not like Chelsea was keeping clean sheets, but Kepa coming away with the 10 points, getting 3 bonus points, also getting a clean sheet. And I believe there was a save point in that. So 10 points in the back, 1 game from Kepa. I also had Trippier. Everyone has Trippier, staple 3. He's a bonus point magnet right now, 9 points. Bueno. I decided to play Bueno in the back, and he did not disappoint against West Ham. Played 82 minutes, clean sheet, 6 points. And then I ended up buying Ake for this week for City, just because I wasn't comfortable with Cancelo, and I wanted to see if I can get some fun. So Ake still has 1 game to play against Tottenham, but for City, it wasn't good. 1 point for Nathan Ake. Almiron in the midfield, just 3 points, didn't do anything. I brought in Mahrez as a punt play. I sold Salah and I brought in Mahrez. All they did was both get 2 points. Not sure if it was a waste of a transfer, but at the same time, Mahrez does have 1 more game.
Yep.
Right? So I was trying to play the doubles for this particular week, and let's see if they can do something. I have no Tottenham defenders. I hope it's a thrashing. We will see. But Mahrez, 2 points. Rashford. Where did Rashford come from and score that goal against City? I swear, I can't remember if I messaged you or if I tweeted it, but I was saying, oh boy, I can't believe I messed up. What am I doing? Rashford and Bruno, this is a disastrous game week. Minutes later, he silenced me.
Yeah.
Was able to put the ball in the back of the net. I think
Didn't
that was
Bruno assist it?
And Bruno assisted it to make it the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake, because I still had Bruno Fernandes in the team. So between Rashford and Fernandes, Rashford picked up a goal and some bonus points from the City game. He didn't do anything in the Crystal game, so only 2 points there, but 12 points for him. And then Fernandes, 19 points, 9 points from the City game because he got 2 bonus points and a goal again today against Crystal and the 3 bonus points. Wow. There are some people I saw on Twitter who put the armband on him. Kudos to you managers who believe that putting the armband on a player that's I believe he has less than 5% ownership, if memory serves me right. Let me just double check. Yep. Less than 5% ownership, and you had the guts to put the armband on him. Kudos to every single one of you managers. Well played.
And you know what I'll jump in and say, just as you're touching on Bruno, before you jump off of him, you might recall that the first episode that we did right after the World Cup was done, I said it here, and I also messaged it to one of our other friends in a separate group. I said, hey, with Ronaldo leaving, we might be seeing that early PL, that 2020 version of Bruno back now that, he's going to be the guy again. And we're seeing it here. Like, since the World Cup has happened, he has returned every single game week, 4 game weeks in a row. He's looking like he's coming back into his old self. And I know it's a part of the reason why you took that gamble on bringing him in as well. So it's looking good so far. Love it.
Yeah,
continue.
Yeah, man, we talked about it. Now, we talked about it, and I said that's exactly it. If he was able to just do something, 4 straight games of returns, it's been excellent. When did we come back from the World Cup? Was it game week 16?
No,
it was game week 17.
17.
So you're right. So ever since we came back from the World Cup, he has actually been performing. So I think that if the double didn't happen, I was actually going to remove him from my team. But because the double was there, it made it so that I didn't expect to go into this game week with 2 United players.
Sure.
But things changed, and I'm very happy I kept him on the team. I'm not a fan of when United returns, but when they get points in general in real life. But if you're going to get me some FPL points, by all means. So up front, man, I got to stop hating on United. Up front, Tony with the 9 points. Now, that penalty was a little bit iffy. I know it wasn't a clear and obvious error, but the way that he was latching onto the defender, I can't remember which defender, but the arm got caught. Did you see it? The arm got caught on the knee, and he kind of tugged at it.
Yeah, and went
but
down.
Hey,
it's a good, to be honest, very good.
He's a smart player.
Very good striker play. I will say that, as any type of sport, you know, if you're playing sports at that high level, like you got to be smart, and that was a professional foul, let's say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it just seems like Tony is taking over. It is another return. He got the bonus points. He was facing a team who, remember, I said I thought he would be the highest scoring FPL player. Yeah. He's not, obviously, but I expected him to return. I wish I had put the armband on him. I ended up putting the armband on Haaland because of what Haaland did to United the first meeting of this year, hat trick. And then Foden got the other hat trick. So I was saying to myself, oh, they're going to do it again. Haaland blank. So just 4 points from him. Thank God he still has another fixture against Tottenham. And I brought in Kane, and I took a hit, but I brought in Kane for FOMO, out of FOMO. Yeah. And I don't think it was a great decision looking back at it, because now I expected him to do something against Arsenal. Even if it was just 2-1, I thought Kane would be the one on the scoreboard. Yeah. Kane came through with nothing, and now he's facing a City team where I also want him to get nothing because I want Ake to get the clean sheet.
Gotcha.
Right? So unless Kane is going to do something like score a hat trick, he's no good to me facing City.
Fair. That's fair.
And I have no Spurs defender, so I want Haaland to obviously do something. A lot of people still have the armband on City assets. So tomorrow should be good. Now, here's where it gets a little disappointing. I have Estupinan last on my bench, 6 points. Always a gut punch to see when you have players last on your bench returning. In the mid, and then I have second on my bench, Andreas. Didn't do anything, didn't think he would. But then a gut punch again, Ben White, 8 points. First on my bench, gut punch. Absolute gut punch. And Ward didn't do anything. I could have sold Martial and then sold Cancelo. And it didn't. I don't even think it would have mattered who. I could have just sold both of them. I don't think I was ever going to play Estupinan, but I could have played Ben White if I was so worried about Martial, and I was right to be worried about Martial because Weghorst got the start, and Martial wasn't even on the bench. He wasn't even called to the team. So managers, if you still have him in your team, he's got to go. He's got to go. I wish I never brought him in the first place. He cost me $1 million when he went down in price, and he only got me one return. It wasn't worth it.
Fair.
That's my team. I'm currently sitting on 77 points. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 players left to play. My game week rank currently is 105. 105,000. That's just a game week rank. My overall rank right now, I know that there are going to be substitutions for some people possibly and things of that nature, but my overall rank is sitting at about 577K. That's a huge jump.
Massive jump.
Massive jump. And I'm hoping that it doesn't fall too bad. But that's where we stand. I'm really liking this game week, brother. I'm not going to lie. It has a smile on my face.
That is awesome. I mean, and that just goes to show you, looking at where, you know, you went into the game week just slightly under 1 million overall rank. You're at like 990 something thousand for your overall rank. And so in one game week, you know what I mean, you jumped 400, almost 500,000 places with some players to go. So that is incredible. Love that. You could turn it around in 1 week. All it takes is one big week and you're back in, right?
Absolutely.
Let me go over my team and show you how we did for game week 20 so far. So overall, we're sitting at 50 points, game week rank of 3.6 million, overall rank of 1.5 million. So we got some work to do. In the average for the game week so far is 42, and we're sitting at 50, so slightly above average. In the back, we got David De Gea. Didn't keep a clean sheet against City. Expected that. The clean sheet did get wiped against Crystal Palace. I actually didn't end up being able to watch the second half of this. I only got to watch the first half because of work. But they seem to have been cruising. But it always did look like Palace could have nicked a little goal. So when I saw the score line, I wasn't surprised. I just didn't know it happened so late in the game. But hey, wicked free kick, good goal is what it is. Trippier, 9 points. I mean, he's almost become another irrelevant player. His ownership's almost at 70%. So I mean, it's what he does is kind of null and void at this point. Luke Shaw, 4 points. Luka Ding. I did end up going with Ding and taking the gamble. Villa actually looked really good for the 3 minutes that he played for. It looked like it. Honestly, it looked like I turned on the game, stepped away, and when I looked, he was injured, and it wasn't even like 10 minutes in the game. So he got injured early. Is what it is. 1-pointer. Can't really blame him. Then they ended up losing a clean sheet later on in the game, anyways. In the midfield, I had Almiron, 3-pointer. Martinelli blanked with 2 points. Rashford, like you mentioned, at 12. I did take the gamble and put the armband on Kevin De Bruyne, like I mentioned that I would last episode. I talked myself into that captaincy decision, even though I did end up bouncing back and forth between Kevin and Kane up until the last minute. I still opted to go with Kevin. Gets more points for, clean sheets in the midfield. And I just went with my gut there, which so far proven to be right. But hey, Haaland could, totally tear that down tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. At least my captain didn't blank. Right. I'll take that.
Right.
Then up front is looking really, really rough. And this is where the game week really takes a downward spiral. Haaland blanks, which I kind of needed, for rank purposes, captaincy purposes, right? Oh, his overall rank for like Haaland's rank for this week, or his effective ownership for this week, was over 200,000. So sorry, over 200%. So that ton of people, everybody captaining, and a ton of people triple captaining. Kane also blanked. Mitrovic. Now, this is the one that really, I think, took the cake, because Mitrovic ended up getting a penalty, scored the penalty, but on review, it looked like he kicked the penalty with his right foot onto his left foot, then it went into the net. So it counted as a double hit. So, hey, man, as a fantasy manager, you can't account for stuff like that. It is what it is. I don't even know. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's just an unlucky thing. It happens. Take it and move on. On the bench, I did bench Gabriel and could have just opted to start him over Luka Ding. So we lost out on 4 points there. Not a massive swing, but 4 points is still 4 points. So that's how the game week went. Still 3 more to play. We got Kevin with the armband, Haaland, and Kane still to go. So let's see how the game week rounds itself out. But we're finishing, as of today, 50 points, 1.5 overall.
Yeah, man. There's still some games in for you this particular game week, and still time to turn it around. As you said,
I'm not stressing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you in the past kind of cruise in a hover around that 1 million range, and then last 10 games of the season, you kind of fly out of nowhere, and then you're up there in the rankings. So I'm kind of expecting that from you again this year. For me personally, this is not usually the area that I'm in.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to kind of figure it out, but slowly but surely, I'm sure we will. The game week is pretty exciting, though. This was a tricky double game week, and I think that a lot of managers left points on the bench. A lot of managers took hits. A lot of managers activated chips, and it doesn't seem as though it's been paying off for everyone. And that's FPL, and that's the beauty of this simple game that sometimes we just overcomplicate.
Like honestly, I could have done absolutely nothing, not made a trend, and to be fair, what's the guy on your team's name? If Darwin doesn't get injured, I don't make a transfer, and I leave everything as it is. I play Darwin, you know what I mean? I keep Gabriel in the team. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? You just got to take it how it goes. But I guess for looking at the game week coming, Game week 21. Or sorry, but yeah,
before you jump into the game week, biggest disappointment. I feel like I know what you're gonna say. Biggest disappointment.
Definitely just Mitrovic on the penalty. That, it's nothing you can really do. It's nothing you can really say. It's just one of those like, hey man, unlucky. Still one in the back of the net, but rules are rules. If this is 4 years ago and there's no VAR, no one looks at it. It's a goal and we keep it pushing, but it is what it is. That's the biggest disappointment, but it's not even one that I'm that upset about because truth be told, if Mitrovic scores, then Trippier's clean sheet is wiped. He doesn't get bonus points, and Almiron loses the 1 point as well. So it's like, did I really gain anything? Not really. So
okay.
What about you?
I think for me, the biggest disappointment has to be, and it's tough because I can kind of say the same thing. It's the City game. It's the City game where there are absolutely no points from any of my City assets, and I've taken a hit. And that's just it's not one particular person, but it's just the fact that I have 3 City assets and I have 5 points between them. I guess 7 points if you count the armband on Haaland. So it's frustrating. I'm hoping that it changes in this Tottenham game, but as of right now, that's where the frustration lies. That I just feel like I took a hit for no reason. And there was a player that I thought about. Didn't vocalize it because I didn't think the 1 week punt was worth it. And that player punished me. So let me just segue into the biggest surprise of the game week. James Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse. Now, the reason why James Ward-Prowse is like my biggest surprise is I looked at Everton and I said, man, if there's somebody who could get points where I don't have to take a hit to bring in a player because of his price point, I could have a midfielder instead of Mahrez. I can just bring in James Ward-Prowse, but is it worth it? I don't like Southampton in terms of what they could do from an FPL perspective. So as I'm tinkering with my team and I'm just looking at what I could possibly do without taking the hit, you start plugging in players and you're like, I don't like how that team looks. But you are targeting the fixtures where you think teams are going to leak. Everton is a team where typically you think they're going to concede a goal. They don't really keep a lot of clean sheets. But for James Ward-Prowse to score 2, and a free kick, I love it, man. I love game weeks with like these free kick goals. It was so beautiful.
Fair. Just from an FPL standpoint, I just think Ward-Prowse is very difficult to predict his output. He's kind of like a player if you're gonna bring him in, you just got to bring him in and just leave him. You know what I mean? Because you don't know when he's going to score. You don't know when he's going to bag a couple free kicks or get a penalty or whatever.
So you know what that is?
For me, he's just a set and forget type of player. If you're going to bring him in, bring him in. But me personally, whenever he does anything, I never look because I know I'm not going to consider him for my team.
See, and I've had him multiple years, and like not for the entire season, but for stretches in a season. And he is somebody like Andreas. It's the price point where you're like, if he does something, you're not upset, but because he's almost £2 million extra compared to somebody like Andreas, it's hard to kind of fit him into your team and just leave him on your bench from game to game. But you know he's not going to return game in and game out. So I think that he had an excellent game week, obviously, for the managers who owned him. More managers own him than Bruno Fernandes, for crying out loud.
Which is crazy.
So for him to get to the points that he did this particular game week, he had 15 points, 2 goals, 3 and the bonus points, 3 bonus points. So he was the biggest surprise for me, just in the fact that he scored twice.
Fair. Okay. Fair. If I were to throw out just the player who I'd consider the biggest surprise, it would have to be the Nottingham Forest player, Serge Aurier. Serge Aurier, since the World Cup, has been on a tear. he has scored in game week 18, 10 points. Game week 19, 8 points. Game week 20, 8 points. I don't know what's going on with Nottingham Forest and what kind of, what turn they've made, but he is someone who's just looked, I think has been a little bit of a revelation for them. He's getting that 90 minutes. I don't know if he's someone who I'm necessarily going to be bringing it into the team because there's so many defensive options, and he's at 4.5 mil, which isn't, expensive, but there's just so many options. You got a Ben White around that price line, that price point, there's just other options there, but definitely one of the biggest surprises for me of the game week personally.
Yeah, I think I didn't even know those stats. I didn't realize that Aurier had been doing so much because I forgot that he scored in that Chelsea game.
Yeah.
And then they've kept 2 clean sheets in a row, and he's getting bonus points.
And he's getting bonus. It's just like,
so he's somebody that he's definitely somebody that maybe people should be considering when you're looking at the fixtures that Nottingham Forest have coming up. They're away to Bournemouth, they're at home to Leeds, and then they're away to Fulham. That's not terrible.
That's based on how they've been looking, that is not a bad run. So I just want to throw that out there as like, whoa, someone very surprising that I want to put on everyone's radar just to keep in mind.
Right. You know who I thought you were about to say? I thought you were about to say Solly March because of the 2 goals and the assists against Liverpool. But maybe you're not as surprised because Liverpool are trash.
So. Yeah, I wasn't. To be honest, I wasn't as surprised at that. And if I were to put a second player to that list, it would be a Brighton player, but it actually wouldn't be Solly March. It would actually be Mitoma. I think he's Japanese. The guy who plays on the other wing. He looks insane. He looks absolutely insane. The dude is dribbling and taking on everybody. He's looking good. He's returning. He has 2 goals and an assist in his last 3 games. He was looking very, very good to me. If I'm going to put another player out there, and he's also someone who I'm considering for my own team, it would be him. He just looks good.
He's on the watch list at 5.0. Fixtures against Leicester, Bournemouth, Crystal, Fulham in the next 4. And then after that, Newcastle, West Ham, Leeds. Like, these are not terrible fixtures at all. I'm not sure I could trust him, but definitely a punt player at that price point.
I'm going to just throw out that, I've been looking for that player to jump off of Almiron, and he is number 1 on my list to make that transfer. I'm just at that point in the season where I got to hedge my bet somewhere, and that Almiron 42% ownership might need to get swapped for Mitoma's under 2% ownership. So
I hear you. So how is your team then looking for game week 21?
So for game week 21, as of right now, there has not been a transfer that has been made. I might actually just roll the transfer going into this game. So in the back, I'm undecided. From a goalkeeper standpoint, I have David De Gea, who's playing Arsenal away. I'm questioning whether I should play Ward, but right now Ward is on the bench. I'm going with De Gea. Leicester just do not look good defensively, and I think that United have a better chance of keeping a clean sheet. Kieran Trippier is going to also be in the back. He's playing Crystal Palace, and then I am going to be playing the 2 defenders against each other, Luke Shaw versus Gabriel. I'm going to roll the dice there and hope for a 0-0. That's really the best that we could hope for there, right? Then in the midfield, I'm going to start Almiron. He's playing Crystal Palace. And then also Marcus Rashford against Arsenal and Martinelli against United. I want to just pause here because this is when I look at the lineup, I have 5 players who are playing in the same game. And David De Gea, Luke Shaw, Rashford, Gabriel, and Martinelli. if that game is a 1-1 game where none of these 5 players have any returns, it's going to be a disastrous game week. So I'm really not as confident going into this game week right now, just based on those 5 players. And then Kevin De Bruyne versus Wolves at home, Holland versus Wolves as well. And then Harry Kane against Fulham and Mitrovic against Tottenham. The bench has Andreas. He's the only fit player on the bench because Luka Ding is second on my bench, and then Patterson is third on the bench. In terms of captaincy, for now, and this is really dependent on how the game tomorrow goes, but for now, the captaincy is on Erling Haaland, and the vice captaincy is on Kevin De Bruyne. If anything, if De Bruyne returns or does anything in this Spurs game, if he looks good, it will be getting swapped.
Okay. I'm liking how the team is shaping up. I think it's a good idea to roll that transfer. You have players who you don't need to make a move.
Yeah. Everyone's playing like it's one of those where like I would love to have some different, I'd love to maybe make a transfer too, but it just doesn't make sense on paper too right now. We're just gonna have to try and shoulder the blow this game week coming.
Okay. All right, I like it. Let me share how I'm shaping up with my particular team. So I'm still debating which goalkeeper I'm going to start, but right now I'm looking at starting Ward. I'm looking at starting Kepa against Liverpool and benching Ward, but I'm still a bit on the fence. Liverpool don't look good, and they don't look like they know how to score. They look completely lost without the players that have been holding it down for years to come. We miss you, Wijnaldum. We miss you, Mane.
Mane is the biggest miss.
Absolutely. We're missing Firmino right now. We're missing Jota right now. We look trash. So
Diaz is injured too. Luis Diaz. You missed a lot of players actually.
Yeah, but expensive buy for no reason. Yeah. I still don't understand all the comparisons to Haaland over and over again.
With who?
I always see comparisons of Darwin. Darwin. I know we're missing a Luis Diaz, but like, I always see the comparisons of Darwin and Haaland. And when I meant to say expensive buy, I was talking about Darwin. I was not talking about Luis. My apologies there. Fair. And to be honest with you, I completely forgot about Diaz because it's been so long. It's been so long. So I haven't heard that name in a minute. So going back to the team, in the back, I have Ake, Trippier, and then White. In the midfield, Rashford, Mahrez, Fernandes, Almiron. And up front, I have Tony, Haaland, and Kane. I'm considering rolling the transfer. Last on my bench is Bueno. Second off my bench is Estupinan, but I think I'm going to make him first off my bench. And then currently first on my bench is Andreas, but I want to see how this Tottenham game goes tomorrow.
Okay.
To kind of decide, do I feel comfortable playing Fulham at home to a Tottenham team that is potentially leaky? So we're gonna see how that plays out before I decide what I'm doing with my bench. I think I have so many options that I'm not even looking at making a transfer unless there's somebody who looks completely juicy. And at this particular moment in time, I'd rather just kind of go into game week 22 with 2 transfers. Yeah. Armband currently on Tony. Vice captaincy on Haaland. Again, I'm going to see how this Wolves game goes to determine whether or not I'm going to switch that. But I'm feeling Tony is going to do something against Leeds. I'm hoping that he does. Let me check how they did in the reverse fixture. Did he get anything? In the reverse fixture, I remember what happened. This was the reverse fixture is the
this
one
where
I
you
took him
didn't
out.
have him. This
This
is the
is
one
the
I
one
had him.
because I took him out and he scored a
Yeah.
hat trick.
Yeah,
And
this is the one
remember,
I
he
had.
wasn't doing anything. He had 4 shots on target. He scored a free kick goal. He scored a
Yep.
penalty, I think. And then,
Yep.
bro, this was the reverse fixture that punished me. So
You're old, you're old, you're old, you're old, man.
but this is why I'm thinking about even more why I'm thinking about not putting the armband on him, because I can't expect him to do the same thing. And he's playing away. But Leeds are not. They actually won their game today, but I think they were facing Cardiff City, and nothing huge, but they did score 5 goals. They did concede 1, I believe. So when you're conceding to these lower teams, like, it's never a good sign. Brentford right now is fighting for their shot at possible European contention. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the type of team Brentford is. They're solid. If there's a time to say, can I make a splash? Tony might be the one who I take that gamble on, especially considering that Wolves, you never know what they could do. It's possible for them to keep a clean sheet. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why Bueno's last on my bench. But what if it's only 1 goal? Haaland only gets the 1 goal. Maybe Tony gets 2 goals, gets the brace, a goal and an assist. Who knows? But there are so many options that are on the Brentford team who could score. Players like Jensen, De Silva, Bueno, Tony, that, maybe it could be a goal and assist from Tony. But again, it's City. Let's see how tomorrow goes before you make any decisions. That's how I'm lining up. I'm hoping for a big game week.
I will say, I personally love that captaincy pick of where you're currently on. If I had Tony in my team, that would be a very possible player that I'd be looking to captain. So from my perspective, I love that pick.
So let's talk about captaincy options, because there are tons of captaincy options, right? Like, what do you think about players captaining Kane?
Is Kane a good? That?
Yeah.
I thought about that, and it's going to depend on how they look tomorrow. I didn't like what I saw from the Arsenal game. I think that, they have some players coming back, like Kulusevski just came back. Son doesn't seem to be all there. I've said this from the beginning of the season. You remember me saying this from they bought Richarlison. I always thought that was the wrong move that they did, not necessarily to have more players, but I just think it gave the wrong message to Son, and I do not think he has recovered from that. Period. I really stand firm in that. So I just don't know if they're clicking as well offensively. It is an away game. It's a London derby. I don't know. Kane is a good option. I'm just not sure I'm swayed to put the armband there. I still might stick with KDB, depending on how they look tomorrow.
Fair. He returned in the reverse fixture. We know what Kane is capable of doing. He came out of nowhere just game week 19 when he scored 2 goals and had an assist against Crystal Palace, and it was just like, whoa. So we know he can come out of nowhere with these double-digit hauls. He's proven time and time again what he can do. That's why he's priced at where he is, and he's easily forgotten in a lot of games, in a lot of game weeks when there are so many options. Let me throw out another captaincy option for you. Trippier. Trippier has returned in the last 7 fixtures, and of those returns in the last 7 fixtures, 3 of them have been double-digit hauls. 12 points against Leicester, 12 points against Southampton, 11 points against Aston Villa. I don't know how many players, a lot of players have him in the squad, but I don't know if a lot of players are confident to captain him. I don't know the stats of how many people have captained Trippier this particular game week, but he's one of those safe bets where he's probably going to return. I repeat, defender, 7 straight returns. And if you kind of go back outside of the Tottenham game, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 straight returns if you don't count Tottenham. I kid you not. That is insane. He is the best player in FPL right now based on his price and the points. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it anymore. Haaland has slowed down.
I've been saying this. I said this from Haaland's streak was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I've saying, hey, Trippier is looking like the best player in FPL. I'll even give you some more stats just to touch on Trippier and how good a season he's having. The highest all-time scoring defender in FPL happened in the 2018-2019 season. Andrew Robertson. He ended the season with 213 points. That's the highest. Now, come the end of game week 19, during that season, Robertson was on 115 points. Kieran Trippier is already on 133 points for the season at the very same point. When in that 2018 season, when Robertson ended, he had a total of 29 bonus points. Trippier is already on 28. Trippier is going to be the highest scoring defender, barring injury, period.
Yeah.
So to captain him, to be honest, if Haaland didn't have the start to the season that he had, Trippier should be perma captain. And he's been nothing short of what Mo Salah has done in previous seasons. We should have just had him perma captain. You'd have been getting consistent returns for, barring 2-3 game weeks or whatever you said. So I'm all for Trippier captain. He's not getting enough praise just because he's been a little bit overlooked by Haaland, but the boy is having an incredible season.
Absolutely phenomenal. And I wish I had him in the team. I know a lot of managers wish we had him in the team early. It is what it is. At this point, he's not a difference maker because everyone has him, but you have to keep him. You have to have him in your team just to keep pace with everybody else.
Yep.
Those were the only other captaincy options I personally wanted to touch on. Anybody else on your mind for this game week or not?
No, those are them. I think the fixtures are tricky. You got Arsenal versus United, probably ties up some players. We talked about the City players, the Liverpool and Chelsea players. They're playing each other. Not that you'd necessarily look at either team for options because Liverpool can't score, Chelsea can't score, nor keep a clean sheet. It's two bad teams going against each other there.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to try and find more creative options. Hence why I think Tony's good against Leeds. Newcastle is a potential option against Crystal Palace, but both of those games are away games for the respective teams. I don't know. I actually think it's a very tricky game week to choose the right captain. I really do.
Yeah. Speaking of that Liverpool-Chelsea game, just because we both follow those clubs, if I had to put money on it, it's going to be a 0-0 draw. It's going to be boring as hell. Super defensive.
I think it'd be deserved. I think it'd be deserved. 0-0. Both teams look bad. Both teams look like they can't score. Both teams look like they can't keep a clean sheet. Honestly, it's one of those games where anything can happen because both teams are just playing so poorly right now. So I'm going in with zero confidence. Personally, I'm going with zero confidence.
Me too. So we'll see where we are.
Yeah, that's where I'm. Doesn't matter what happens in that game. I will not be upset. But yeah, I think the teams look good going into the game week. I know we have that last game to finish up. I'm definitely hoping that we can continue to finish this game week strong. You've been flying this game week, so let's have that continue. Hopefully Mars can back because I think him and Ake are going to be your two big differentials, both at under 5% ownership. So let's see how the game week ends. For the viewers, I really want to appreciate you guys spending the time to go through the information with us. If you like the content that we're putting out, please be sure to hit that like button. You can also subscribe to the channel, turn your notification bell on. You can also follow us on Twitter for the latest team news and updates that we put out before the game week. That is at Up Your Rank FPL. We wish y'all all the best in game week 21, and we will catch y'all in the next one. Peace. sure to like and subscribe.